Greetings Guzzlers, we're going medieval again. We're going to make a medieval sweet from 14th century Egypt. So you may well have come across Hulwa or Hulwa, it can be pronounced either way, and this is a version of it, and there are various versions of it, because what a lot of people don't realise is that Hulwa, or however you want to pronounce it, is a sesame. They think it's a sesame based sweet because that's what they usually get, but actually the word Hulwa just means sweet. So we're going to make a type of Hulwa which doesn't have any sesame seeds in it. It's got some sesame oil. Okay, we'll come to that in a minute. But we're going to make Hulwa Jamiyya, probably pronounced slightly differently in medieval Egypt, but I don't know. And this is essentially a honey and poppy seed treat, although it has got pistachios in it. So we're going to need 2 saucepans, we're going to need a prepared cake tin, and other than the ingredients, that's it. 225 grams of plain flour. I've got about 80 grams of shelled pistachios. Now if they've got the like the husks on, or you know, whatever, the skins on, you want to get them removed. Okay, you can put them in boiling water, rub the skins off if they've got them on it, but you do need to make sure your pistachios are then dried out. So like I say, about 80 grams of that, generous pinch of saffron, 4 tablespoons of poppy seeds, and then I've got some runny honey, so not your set honey, runny honey. I've got 450 grams of that. And then, like I say, sesame oil. Now this, it's quite difficult. Well, I found it quite difficult because every time you try and buy sesame oil, it's always toasted. And we don't want toasted sesame oil. It adds a different flavour. So this is plain sesame oil. And you need to be very careful because you often, when you go shopping for this stuff, it says sesame oil and you check everywhere and you think, oh yeah, that's sesame oil. And then you buy it and you look at it and it says toasted. So this is not, this is genuine sesame oil, 120 mils of that. And what I want to do is I want to put that 120 mils into a fairly heavy base saucepan, because what we're going to do is we're going to heat that up and we're going to cook the flour. Oops. So we'll come back to that other saucepan in a bit. Okay, just having a coffee. Buried me mug in the back of the cupboard, so I'll have to use it. So, like I say, all we're going to do is we're going to gently, effectively roast the flour in the oil. We start with a nice low heat, and in fact we keep it on a pretty low heat, because what we don't want it to do is burn. We want it to be sort of start to turn a nice golden colour, and if you've got a sense of smell, which I haven't, it starts to smell toasted, but we don't want to go too far, we don't want to burn it. So I'm just going to get myself ready to start toasting. That's gone on a nice low heat, and we're basically just going to add that flour into that saucepan, and then we're going to keep stirring it, make sure the sour, what's going on with my speech today? We're going to make sure that flour is all fully coated with the sesame oil. So it's going to go quite, you know, almost like if you were making like an eclair type dough. Okay, you might actually want a stiffer thing than this spatula, to be honest. So you can see there, it's gone like a, it's like a paste. So, like I say, we want to toast this about 10 minutes, okay, but keep it gentle, we don't want to burn it. And you need to obviously keep your eye on it, because we don't want it to burn, he says repeatedly. Now, ideally you're going to need a sugar thermometer for when we heat the honey. So when I first put that flour into that sesame oil, it went very golden. Okay, and I think when I showed it to you, you could see that sort of goldenish colour. As this is starting to get heated up, it's actually going paler. So that may help when we come to see whether, you know, it's started to toast properly and go golden brown. Said to you, Hulwa or Hulwa basically means sweet. Most of these type of sweet treats were based on flour and some kind of sugar syrup, quite often made from honey, particularly at that time. And like I say, just various other things like sesame seeds, in this case poppy seeds, and pistachios would be added. But sort of choice was yours, as it were. So this actual recipe we're following, it was documented, 14th century. I'm going to have to read it. Hulwa Jamiyya, take ½ pound of flour and fry it in 4 ounces of sesame oil. Take a pound of honey, so 450 grams, and put it on the fire, and if the honey is strong, add water. So dilute it a little bit if you need to. When it boils, throw it hot on the toasted, they meant toasted flour, they left the word flour out, and stir it and beat it white. Poppy seeds and pistachio for it, basically take poppy seeds and pistachios and throw them on it. Let the honey be covered with dirham of saffron. So that's where the saffron comes in, and basically the dirham is essentially the saffron when we've steeped it in a little bit of hot water, and we're just putting that sort of liquid, if you like, into it. Stir and put it up covered. And this comes from a particular cookbook, chapter 10. I'm trying to pronounce the guy's name, or the book's name. Kitab Wasf al-Atima al-Mutada. Probably pronounced that completely wrong. Now, interestingly, I said to you, it says about toast this to it's gone like a nice golden colour. I assumed, couldn't cook this one, I assumed it meant a golden brown colour, but I'm wondering, because this seems to be getting paler and paler, whether it means like a more of a yellow gold. You'll find actually it starts becoming much more sort of almost fluid like, so a bit easier to stir. So all I'm going to do is just take that off the heat for now, and I've already transferred my honey into there, and we're now just going to gently heat that up. And we want to get that up to the soft ball stage. So we want that to be about 116, sorry. About 112 to 116 Celsius. And then we're just going to keep it there, boiling it away a little bit, as it were, until it's got to more of a syrup, and what we might call the soft ball stage, where basically you take a little bit out, put it in some cold water, should form a ball, but when you remove it, it flattens back out again. So we're not trying to make like a caramel, we just want to keep it, like I say, at that soft ball stage. So it's just a matter of heating up. Now you might find once you've got to there and it's turned into that syrup, take it off the heat, and you might find there's a little bit of scum on top. Just remove that scum. Almost finished there, so all I'm going to do before I take that off the heat is I'm just going to add a little bit of boiling water to those saffron threads, and we'll just put that to one side for now. And when we've let this settle down, we'll just be chucking all of that into there. So I'm going to remove this from the heat, and I'm just going to gently re-warm that, because obviously that's cooled a little bit. We're now just going to add that saffron water and stir that into the honey. And I'm now just going to blend this in to our toasted flour mix. essentially just folding the two together. So it's very runny. Okay, so this is going to need to set this sweet. Ideally, we want this for at least sort of 24 hours in the fridge. Now we add our pistachios and our poppy seeds, and we just make sure all of that is completely mixed together. And that, although it doesn't look particularly appetizing because of the black of the poppy seeds, well, I don't know, depends on what you fancy right now. It's all up to me. But you can see it is very runny. This is going to need some time to set. There you have it. It's still very hot. Okay. I'm just going to let that cool for a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit of cling film over the top. Obviously, we don't want anything getting in it. And then when that is cooled a bit more, because the bottom of that is very hot, it's going to go in the fridge. And like I say, we're going to chill that for about 24 hours till we can then hopefully remove it from the tin. But either way, we're going to be cutting it up. So we'll get it out one way or another. So here we are, about 20 hours later. I took it out, found a knife around the edge, and then I've just put a dish over the top of warm water, and I must admit, it is released a lot easier than I thought. Now, because I've turned it out, the top is nice and smooth, and so the idea is now we want to cut this up. Now, you would normally sort of cut it into squares, which obviously is a little bit difficult given the shape of this, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut the ends like that, so we'll have a few misshapen bits. It hasn't set particularly hard, and this will probably want to be kept in the fridge. So you can see sort of the black of the poppy seeds, and there's a nut underneath my fork I found. I wouldn't say it's overly sweet. Given the amount of honey that went in that, I thought that's going to be like all honey, and it's not. And if anything, I think it's the poppy seeds in particular that come through. The flavour of that, those poppy seeds, they give it a nutty, I want to say almost smoky texture. It's like fudge, but with this nuttiness. Not smoky, I can't really think, but it's the poppy seeds that are definitely coming through in this, and it's nice to get a little bit of pistachio. So there you go. Anyway, your Hulwa Jamiyya, the honey and poppy seed treat from 14th century Egypt.